everyone, welcome to Backstory Sessions. I'm your host Matt. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co-host, Matt. Hey Matt.
Hey Kat, hey everyone, how are you?
Season 9 has been fine, but it is now at the end.
Yeah, it's been quite a long season, it seems. Longer, well, not longer than most, but it seems like it's been a really long one, don't you think?
When I start looking back on the guests that we've had, it does seem like it's been a while since we talked with them, even though, this is, I think, 12 episode season. So, it does cover a fair amount of time. We kicked off season 9, and it's kind of a full circle how we're ending it, don't you think?
How so?
Well, if you remember when we kicked off the first episode of this season, I was talking about going to the concert and the phone situation, and then who ended up recording that special song that we got to use? Risha Allen, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now who's our guest for this final episode?
So was that the first episode? I really don't remember, to be honest.
Yes, it was. That's how we kicked it off, and
Huh.
with your being selfish with your cell phone, and then me writing a beautiful song. I was under much pressure, I might add, too, to get that song out and to someone to record it all by the next week, which I was able to do.
Well, that's the high stakes world of podcasting,
I know, it's pressure, constant pressure,
Yeah,
but
well,
it does pay to have talented friends, and
that's true.
Risha Allen, she just hit it out of the ballpark. It was a fantastic song, and I feel like the feedback has been Team Cat all the way.
Yeah, I guess. There, I'll give you that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Risha, because besides the fact that she is a full circle moment for us, I knew her from teaching, so she's a teacher,
Hmm.
and she's also a singer-songwriter. And the writing is very interesting because she pulls a lot from personal experiences, and that also, ties into Unstoppable. So I was curious, how do you feel about, do you ever think about when you're writing true experiences and you're including other people that were a part of that, do you think about the impact it could have on them?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you have to consider that, like how much is too much to share and that sort of thing. So yeah, I do think of that. What about you?
Um, so I don't write a lot of in my personal experience writing, I generally would take a feeling that I have and, put that into words, but not so much including a specific person.
Hmm.
Although I'm sure, the specific person I'm feeling it about knows that it's about them. But but they're not called out by name or anything like that. So I haven't done that kind of writing.
Right.
Like
So do you like base characters on people?
I do. sometimes it's just like an honor thing. Like I think, oh, I'm going to name a character after this person because
Right.
I really like this person and they, are supportive of my writing and or have been and so I'll name a character which as you'll see, we got the reveal coming up. A lot of those characters are named after my classmates. So the characters may or may not be anything like the classmate, but it's just an honor thing to for me to know that that those were special people to me. And of course, there are lots more. You can't write, and put everybody and everything.
Right.
But I have, I do try to pull out names. And then the other thing I might do is like, take an element of someone and put it in one character and an element of someone else. And like in Gorilla Girl, for instance, I see some characteristics of a lot of different people, including myself, um, in the characters, but they're not all like in one character so that you wouldn't look at it and be like, oh, that's Matt,
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Whereas
'Cause-
I, on the other hand, I mean, I think I wrote us both into Love and Jello.
yes, you did. And also included experiences with your father.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure some of them are like what you might have imagined. It would be like if you both were in that setting or situation. So,
Right. But I
um,
mean, in that book, all the situations were real, or most of them anyway, were things that had actually happened, but some of the character names were different.
yeah, so I think that, that is a good example too, of another time that we were able to incorporate real life people into fictional work.
Mm-hmm.
So, with songs, I think it could be a little more challenging. Like you have Taylor Swift who,
Writes about
write.
ex-boyfriends.
So, I guess like I don't know. Is it like, if you're out in public, people can film you or, do whatever. Like you don't have a guarantee of privacy, I guess. So, but if you're in a relationship with someone, you're probably like wise not to be dating writers, I'm guessing, if you're a jerk, because, that's what writers do is like
Yeah.
write feelings and things happening to them. And
You could end up in
so,
the next book.
I mean, yeah, the next book, Dead,
Yeah, yeah, you never know.
uh,
Not
like I do kill off a high percentage of characters, and
That's true, you do.
yeah, so
Oh,
not
oh,
being
anyway, speaking, I'm sorry, I don't mean to change subjects, but I wanted to talk about this. The reveal is coming up when? Next week?
yes, Saturday, July 29th, and then on Sunday, August the 6th. So it's like back to back weekends there.
Yeah, so how you feeling about it? You excited and all that? I know we talked about it in the last episode, talked a lot about it, but like as it gets closer, how you feeling about it?
Really excited. The I just know the experience is going to be amazing and for everyone that's there. And we have, ticket sales have gone well, and there's a lot of enthusiasm with the cast. So, oh, and also the Wrigley. A lot of businesses have shown a lot of support for us with sponsorships and different things, but
Awesome.
the Wrigley is doing a really cool thing for us. They're having a pre-show cocktail, almost an hour. It's 5 to 5:45. So if
Hmm.
you're attending, come to the Wrigley first, And they have two drinks named in honor of the play. So you can get the high school reunion,
Mm-hmm.
or you can get the Trojan Secret. And, the Trojan Secret is because the high school reunion, their mascot is a Trojan.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and of course, secret is because everything there is,
So
all the secrets being revealed. So I think that's really cool that they, partnered with us and agreed to do that. I think that's very cool, a very cool part of the experience that people are going to have.
mm-hmm. And you picked up two more performances. Is that true? No.
Yes, so we'll be in London, two shows in London coming up too. So, we have a Facebook page, and we'll be posting dates on there. And we have a Barberville show and a Harlan show. So, yeah, just follow along on Tri County Mystery Meets Facebook page, and you'll be able to see where we'll be next. But we're gonna have like so many pictures posted after Saturday's opening. It's it's historical in that it's our very first ever performance of the reveal, and
Mm-hmm.
also for Tri County Mystery Meets and the new business. So happening at the Pennington in Corbin, Kentucky. And Tuesday is the final day to buy tickets for dinner, at least.
All
So
right. Well, get your tickets now.
that's right.
All right. So we're gonna talk to Risha here in a minute and see what she's been up to. She's had a pretty interesting path, and she's. I think she's gonna be doing something soon.
Well, and I'm really curious about, she is viral TikTok teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm curious about the role in social media and how that has boosted her career, if at all. And, what inspired her to use the tool of social media, because, both of us know that it's very important. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a given that promotion has to take part in social media,
yeah. So,
to some degree.
yeah. So, the good side of that is you pick up people that, wouldn't have known about you otherwise. And the negative side is,
You pick up
sometimes
people
you get
that.
well, or you get criticism sometimes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it can be hard to take.
yeah. Not
Or
everything. Well, not everything is going to be, a viral video, or not everybody's going to agree with something that you post and stuff. It's all just part of the deal. I mean, as soon as you put something online, you leave yourself open to criticism, and
yes,
you just have to deal with that part of it.
yeah, because again, it's like that. You don't have that sense of privacy. Like you don't have a guarantee to privacy because you're going public. So you just have to take it and get a thicker skin, I think.
Yep.
Um, or delete. That's a good thing
The
of
delete
being the
button.
admin. If
Yeah.
it's like, which I think we're really good about not censoring. Like the only things we ever censor are like, people posting a celebrity's dead when they're not. Those kind of
Right.
like
Yeah.
spam things that people put in groups. That's really the only thing we ever take down, I think. So
Yeah. There are a couple other posts that we had to, you know, do something with,
yeah.
but that was
Um,
like self
if
promotion.
somebody's bullying someone or something like that. But,
Yeah.
in general, like, if you think we say, too much or, so or whatever, and you comment on that, we don't take that down.
Yeah, and
Uh,
we don't necessarily care because I mean, like,
we haven't worked to change it either because we like it. So
yeah. So, well.
Yeah, exactly. That's about how far you'll get with us on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of a joke because your mom, I remember your mom used to say, like, you can't start a
Eh,
sentence with so or well or and or any of that.
like pretty much everything I start sentences with.
Yeah, yeah. I just remember her saying that, and we laugh about it now.
Yes, we do. And yesterday was her third year of her passing, and so it's nice to be able to remember the funny things, because she was a faithful listener to the podcast and
Yeah, yeah,
always very supportive of everything that I did and we were trying to do. And so it's a good memory. I'm
yeah.
glad that we're able to,
The
laugh
funny, the funniest memory I have of her is the video that you have when you were asking her about my writing, and, and
Yes, it was like, what's the most surprising thing about, Love and Jello, I think was sort of the question.
yeah.
And she was like, that Matt could write.
I
And,
guess I didn't impress her very much.
yes, I'm like, oh, did you think he was a dumbass? And she's like, no, no, I just didn't know he could write. And then to top it all off, I'm like, do you think he's a better writer than I am? And she like doesn't she like doesn't answer, and I was like,
That's funny.
so she was so funny, and that video is funny too. So yep, a lot of good memories.
Yep.
Certainly I miss you, Mom. So Risha is going to be a really interesting interview, and I can't wait till we like hear all the backstories of her songs and her life and career change.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what she's got on the horizon because I mean she's a pretty phenomenal singer and songwriter for sure.
Yes, so my prediction is, we are going to have one day, we will have her back, and we'll be talking about, her Grammy nomination or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean,
Yeah.
we might have to get in line for that one though, you know.
Hey, Risha, remember your roots here. We started with that telephone song,
That's
so
right, way back when.
that's right. We're hardcore now, I think.
All right, well, let's talk to Risha and see what's going on.
All right, sounds good. Risha Allen, we are so excited to have you as a guest today on Backstory Sessions. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you finally got to meet the infamous Matt, who wouldn't give up his cell phone for air supply.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a good lead into
Absolutely.
a little backstory that we have, and so everyone's already acquainted with you to some degree because they heard that. So you I'm going to quote. I used to teach with Risha, so this is a little background information. I have only bits and pieces of backstories with her, but the one thing I remember was her talent in singing and music and songwriting. And she played many songs, but one has stuck with me like all of these years, and that was Oblivious. So I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
start. Yeah, I know. Can you believe? I mean, I still know all the words. It's like I'm
Are
going
you
to,
serious?
yes, and I am going to read you some lyrics from that stuck with me, and we're going to start your backstory kind of like that. So,
Yeah.
call me naive, I never seen it coming. Is that prophetic of what was to be your life all these years later?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely prophetic. I mean, there was a reason I was writing material like that, early on in that relationship. So our first year of teaching together, Kat, was also my first year of marriage. And there were just some things right from the very beginning that just weren't clicking, and we were young and both dumb and all these things. But so that song was really written out of like naivety, like the awakening from naivety early in my marriage as a college student slash like late college student, first year teacher, because I'm not really sure exactly when I started that song. But yeah, that's
A blast
gosh, I
from the
totally
past.
forgot. A blast from the past. And I really like that song, and I always wanted to go back and revisit it and maybe revise it, really tighten up the narrative and kind of lean into like the heartbreak and everything that I was feeling. And I may do that. You may have just inspired me to go back to that, because I'm working with an engineer here in Minot, North Dakota, and actually creating like really solid good tracks that I can release on Apple Music. 20 plus years now in the journey of writing and producing music, and I'm really loving what we're coming up with. So I may like do that one. Yeah.
Awesome, because I feel like your whole life since I knew you in that beginning of teaching, it has changed and evolved so much. So I
Oh yeah.
feel like you've probably never seen it coming, because I didn't see it coming, that you were going to end up like as a social media influencer. You're going to be teaching elementary school music and
Yeah.
be writing songs that would touch the world. I could see that part because obviously, I still
All
have a
these years later. Yeah.
but a lot of changes. So let's get a little bit of your backstory. Like, did you come out of the womb singing?
Probably. Probably. So I can remember my mom and her two cousins were in a singing group. And there was just their names. We called them Sherry, Jan, and Ann. And they just every family reunion, which we had four every summer, and then every Sunday, dinner at Memos, and like all of the funerals and weddings and events, we would always hear Sherry, Jan, and Ann sing, and I could sing with them. And I remember early on being able to do some of the harmonies that they could do. I could just hear it. And the harmonies, weren't complex or anything. I was basically doing low harmony and holding probably like a third under them, just kind of holding that note. But I learned, and I was able to hold it. And so there were times when I would, jump in and join them, and then really just became like a family celebrity, singing at all of our events with them or after them. And mom got me into piano at 7 years old, and because they could play the piano too, Sherry, Jan, and Ann, like all of them, they could just sing, they could harmonize. They couldn't write music, but they could, play keys and all that. And so it really was kind of like almost one of those things that I wasn't even cognizant of. I just was doing it from a very young age, and then just emulating them. And then it grew to its own thing. Writing my own kind of music in addition to singing some church music and all of that. And in piano lessons, learning more than just how to read music, learning chord theory and how to make music my own and stuff. So I really can't tell you a definitive time that I became a singer or a musician. It's just always been there.
So what about the songwriting? How young were you when you were writing your own? What did you write, the tune and the lyrics, or?
That's a great question. It's gosh, that's a fantastic question. My students, I just had an opportunity to interview a famous singer musician, and had my students help me, formulate questions to ask, and that's one of the questions that they asked him too. And I would say I began writing music probably in the 4th grade. Right when your brain is right when you're starting to feel the drama of the relationships around you, life gets a little more complicated, and you're looking for a way to process it all. Like I remember I wrote a song that I think at the very beginning I patterned a lot after what I heard on the radio, maybe like substituting a few words for my own, but like taking their melodies and stuff. Because I think there was a song about Rock Bottom of My Heart on something, but I remember the melody, like, because I love you from the rock bottom of my heart. That was like fourth grade. And it could have been a radio song. But then I wrote another one, Baby Ooh Baby, and it was like the rave of the playground. Just stuff that probably was very mimicky, cliche, but still like practicing the art. And then in high school, I really started to write stuff that was a lot better. And probably had 5 or 6 songs in high school that people would really like to hear. And then in college, just, kind of kept going and kept going. And now I feel like my songwriting is the best it's ever been. And I'm less cliche, less heartbreak than I've ever been. You know how it is. Heartbreak is excellent creative fodder.
Yeah, great material for songwriters to be
Just,
going through.
just if anybody was wondering, that was Randy Travis.
Well, okay.
The Hard Rock Bottom of Your Heart is the name of the
There
song.
you go. That Randy Travis was apex when I was young in the 80s, so that would
There
make a
you
lot
go.
of sense. Yep. And I think the Baby Ooh Baby song,
Justin Bieber.
Baby Ooh Baby. Oh goodness, Justin Bieber wasn't even a flash in the eye. I think it was maybe In Vogue or SWV, one of those like girl pop bands that I kind of patterned after.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times still that I will listen to something on the radio and think like, I could do that. Like I can create something very similar to that. And not often does it end up being similar, but it is like, I am inspired enough by it that I still, imitation is flattery, no matter how you cut it and how old you are and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, Ed Sheeran might disagree with you.
Too soon.
But he did
Just
win,
kidding.
so he might agree with you.
Yeah.
So from, being like writing these, and I'm sure your peers loving them and, that kind of thing, when it came time to make some kind of career choice, did you knew you were going to college? Did you think about right out of high school going to pursue music? Like, okay, so tell us about that.
Yeah, actually, I called an audible in college and changed my major, which was a music education major at the beginning. So I was recruited by, a couple of schools for music, but Union was close to home, and I was offered a full ride at Union College in Barberville, Kentucky. And my scholarship was for vocal music, and so I was going to go through the program, get a music education degree, and that was going to be my thing. I think I really had my eyes on high school choir, because my high school choir teacher was such a powerful musical influence in my life. But then I did not love college music. I just didn't. And no offense to anybody who was part of the college music programs at that time, but it was really like my high school was a hard act to follow. My high school choir director was such a creative, talented person that he really like awoke in me this the creative side of art, or not even arts, because art itself is creative. The creative side of the technical talent of playing an instrument, reading music, the technical side of like writing a song, verse, chorus. Like I was so inspired by everything. We would put on like little plays. We would just do impromptu things. And when I went to college, it was very much just technical. And so I just didn't love it. Hurt my feelings that I got a C. I was a little bit of a baby. I was like, I've been in piano lessons for 12 years and I got a C in music theory. It's like that class and chemistry are two of the hardest college courses I ever took. But anyway, so I changed my major and went into English language arts. And I was going to be a writer. I really didn't even want to be a teacher. At that point, when I changed from a music degree, music ed, I was like, I just think I want to write. I want to be a journalist, and I want to work my way up to be a news anchor. And so I did that. But I tell you what really was the the wedge that was kind of shoved into all my plans, that I got pregnant my junior year of college. So like all those heartbreak songs to come, right? They were from this relationship. And so I got married, and and I had a baby, and at that point I was like, I think I should probably go back to that education degree, because I would be able to have my kids' schedule someday, and it's good benefits and all of that stuff. And so I already had the English degree, not the music degree. So I had really kind of left that music degree alone. And I was still doing like recreational music. I was going to Nashville and recording with some friends and doing some songwriting stuff. But that kind of it just came to this point where I just made a completely different life decision and I got my secondary ed degree, because with the English degree that I was, already on track for, I could teach high school English. But then before I got out of college, I was like, I think I better, I've got almost enough of the 2 years of music that I took to come out with a minor. So at least I could get that. And thank goodness that I did, because that's how I can teach music up here now. So for 14 years, that was my path. I never thought about teaching music after that. I didn't. And even when I moved to North Dakota for the first time, I didn't know that my music minor would translate, because my master's degree, which I got from Eastern Kentucky University, is Master's of Education K-12. So in North Dakota, those certifications open me up to K-12 teaching for reading and writing, and having the minor opens me up to K-12 music teaching. So I was kind of just sitting on that pot of gold this whole time and had no idea until it mattered, until I was up here in North Dakota and, looking for a job, and like, oh, maybe I could go back to my roots and try this. So yeah, that's kind of how it went.
So in a way, it seems like there was some luck involved and some good decisions made, even if they might not have been intentional, with knowing this was going to have such a major impact on you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like teaching English?
I did. I liked teaching English. I feel like I was good at it. I always felt like, I was fulfilling a purpose. I had, I think one of the things that has, transcended both career paths is I've always been able to build solid relationships with students. And so that right there is the battle with anybody, as a teacher. If you can build a good relationship, you can teach. And so, I had a good time teaching high school English, good relationships with kids, but high school English is this monolith. I mean, it's different from all other content areas, and it's so heavily tested. So, high school English in pretty much any high school is going to carry 3 of your 4 major academic points. So for grammar, so that was measured on the ACT. Then I don't really know exactly how they do it now, but so those actual English skills, the reading skills, and the writing skills, and then the 4th was math. So here's your English department that's carrying 3 of your major academic indicators, and so that put undue pressure on English teachers. And then of course, how do you teach writing without doing a heck of a lot of it? And so then in a maxed out classroom, so as a high school English teacher, there were years maybe I had 140, 150 kids maybe. And so here I've got that huge number of kids, and I'm trying to teach them how to write. And the only way to do that is to actually write and to, read and revise and all that. And so that would just create a whole lot of extra work. And as a mom, that was just so hard. And then when I got divorced as a single mom, the year that I came to North Dakota, I took a job, a Title I job, knowing it would end at the end of the school year and there was no more funding for it, but it was a continuing contract and it would get my foot in the door to be able to go back and teach high school English. But after just like from November to May teaching elementary and not taking papers home every night, not, revising thoughtfully 172 to 3-page essays, or 100 and however many, I don't remember my class total student number, but the relief I felt not having that burden was, I guess I just didn't realize all those years how cumbersome that field truly was as a mom. So that is one of the reasons actually that I was like, okay, I'm not going to go back to high school now. I'm going to call another audible. I went to one high school meeting and I was like, I just don't think I want to do this anymore. And so I was like, what else is available? Is there anything else in the realm of elementary school that I would be qualified to teach? Like, I just got divorced. I moved across the country. This is my 40th year of life. Like, this is a perfect time to try something new. And there was an elementary music position open, and I was like, what? I'm qualified to teach that? So the rest is history. It was like, I mean, call it luck. It's a heck of a coincidence. I don't know what to call it, but I am certainly glad that it was open and I got, the job where I was. They let me fly there. They like, some principals would never let you have your phone out and make TikToks or things like that. But that, my schools where I taught, they were like, wow, you're really talented. Like, and we can trust your decision making in the classroom. Go for it. Like, they were so proud of me at every crossroads I came to as a TikTok star, random TikTok star.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So all of this is really, it seems like a turning point for you when you move back to North Dakota, and then these opportunities start opening up. So you're in that elementary classroom teaching music for the first time. And when is it that it comes to you like, oh, well, maybe I should start recording some of this and putting it out there?
Well, I'll tell you, because recording it and putting it out there were two completely different trains of thought for me. Okay. So the reason I started recording it is because I was finding that in building relationships with them and truly engaging them, I was making up little silly songs on the spot, like to learn their names. Like, I would write a little song, Chuck drives a truck, like different things like that. And they just ate it up. They were loving it. And they were like, let's do it again tomorrow. And then the next day would come and I would be like, I don't remember. I've written 20 little songs since then. I don't remember. And so I would start getting my phone. I'd be like, wait. Okay. I'm just going to record this little improv session. And I would like do their, rhyme with their names again or something else, and so that I could keep it and then we could do it. And then there were a couple other things that I just off the cuff created. I could, like our Happy Friday song, which is now like cult famous. Actually, I was just singing in one of our big musical bars here in Minot, North Dakota. I've got a pretty regular gig there. And somebody yells out Friday song at the end of the night. So like here I'm singing my Happy Friday song with everybody in the bar. And they're like, they've got their flashlights up, like just having a great time with this little elementary level song. But that song, I would never have remembered it if I didn't have my phone out. So I would have my phone out to record those things. And so then I really wasn't putting those anywhere. I wasn't sharing them. Those are just to jog my brain. But I would also take pictures of some of the adorable things, the pictures that they would draw for me. Or we had a classroom pet. It was a moth that lived for like a day. And I had a picture of like all of our hands in the middle, like around this moth that was sitting on the carpet. And so I would put those pictures on my Instagram story, which feeds to my Facebook story, to be like, look at how cute my life is now. Like going from a high school teacher to, and like, this is my actual job. We wrote a song about a moth today. Like, so just some of those things that were just so cute, but they were two very different media purposes. And so it was actually the moth song. We wrote a song about a moth and we called it Music Moth. And that was just a cute little song, and I wanted to remember it. But then I had the pictures of us with our hands around the moth, and I had recorded the song anyway. And I was like, why not put that on my Instagram story? It's just me. It doesn't show any kids, but you can hear them singing and all that stuff. And so then one of my good girlfriends was like, she had been telling me since like TikTok had become what it was. She was like, you have to get on here. You sing. You have got to get on here and sing. People would love to hear your voice. You would go viral. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is the same reaction I have when people are like, you should go on The Voice. I'm like, no, I shouldn't. Like, no, they're not looking for me. I'm too old. And like, I'm a mom of 3 kids. I am not the image. I am not any of the things that they're looking for to go viral or, whatever. So, but there was finally one day where I had done a welcome song, and I recorded this welcome song with the students, knowing that I was going to share it on my Facebook, because there was one day we were singing, it's called It's called Hello Miss Allen, and it's actually my very first viral video on TikTok. Um, it's like over 4 million views or something like that. And so I just recorded that. Actually, I had a para educator in the classroom. I was like, will you hold my phone and just record this real quick? It was like 14 seconds. Yeah, I was like, they sound like little angels. I want to share this. And then I put it on Facebook, and my friend who had been hounding me to get on TikTok now for probably 2 years was like, I'm done with you. Take that video that you just put on Facebook, get on TikTok, and post it there. And I did, and it instantly went viral. And I just remember that night, like I was on a dart league at that point, and the whole night I'm at dart league. I can barely even focus on darts because I'm just watching the views and likes and comments just rise. And it was really like, I don't know, just some kind of ride I was on, a high of its own. And so that went viral. And then so then my friend is like, see, I told you. What other stuff have you been recording for 6 months or whatever that you haven't shown? Put it on there. Like, you have got unique content that people want to see. And so then I just kept putting stuff on there. And then, the thing about the way I teach music, and the way that music is and always has been so natural to me, and the way, I was an English teacher for so long, and I've just got that creative aspect, and I've got that way with words. Like, it's not an intimidating thing for me to sit down and write a silly song about the way I need them to line up that day, things like that. So it's like the content really just created itself. Like, I'm very fortunate. Some people go viral with a one-time thing, a one-hit wonder, something that just really is not recreatable. And I happen to go viral with something that's sustainable. Like, this is just what I do all the time. And sometimes my songs are huge hits and sometimes they're not. But since that moment, it's been pretty stinking cool to watch how the world reacts to my music, my creativity. And just like you started, I had just like you started this podcast, I had no clue that this would get here. Like, it is I was oblivious to what could happen with my music over time. Like, what could happen when all these skills came together with the right purpose, I guess. Like, if heartbreak was a terrible purpose, fun and building relationships with kids, much better purpose. So I think it's kind of a perfect storm of skill and creativity meets purpose.
Well, then you had a teacher's Christmas wish. Very heartfelt song there. Tearjerker. I don't think to watch it without crying, especially if you've been a teacher.
Yeah.
And you definitely, I think, spoke very well of how teachers feel.
Thank you.
What was that like? Writing the song, I guess, let the listeners know, like, what is it like for teachers to be away over that Christmas break? Of course, we always are like, oh, great, but there's more emotions. So tell us about that.
Yeah, teaching high school for 14 years, you always know the kids that have and the kids that have not. And you always know the kids that are not treated well at home and things like that. And you always feel really sad, and you try to make connections for them with resources. But really, when kids are older, they fend for themselves a lot. If worse comes to worse, they can go to the backpack club, they can get food. If worse comes to worse, they can call 911, or they can run out, or they can cope in another way with just not having. It's always worrisome and sad. But when I started teaching elementary school, I was blown away when the Christmas season rolled around, because our behaviors started to go up. And I was like, what's going on? And my principal was like, we have a lot of kids that they're really anxious because they don't want to go home for the break. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, how it is, all over Christmas, time, TV and everything, all the commercials are gifts and stuff, and they don't get gifts. A lot of them do not get gifts. They don't even eat well. Some of them won't eat a real meal from the time we close our doors until we open them again. And I mean, the emotion of that just devastated me, because these little kids just cannot fend for themselves at all. And so the helplessness of some of these little ones, like, I could cry right now even just talking about it, because I see faces in my mind of the ones that worried me the most in that year. Like, oh my God, Like they're just going home, and home is a loose term for so many of them. And so um I really had to cope with that. Just how do I keep teaching when I'm looking out and all I want to do is just hug them and tell them it'll be okay, or buy. And I asked my principal, can I buy them gifts? And he said, that's a hard thing to do. He said, because you can't really buy gifts for them all. He said, but I'll tell you, I did that one year. And the parents took the gifts back and got the money for it. And, he's like, so the kid at the end of the day, he said, it's kind of an unfixable problem. And so we love them while they're here. And we make them look forward to coming back, and we take care of them while they're here. And so honestly, when you talk about the process of writing that song, there truly wasn't much of a process to the song that went viral. I woke up singing that from my sleep. And again, call it coincidence, luck, I don't know, call it that skill set that has been with me for most of my life. But I just rolled over and I grabbed my phone, because that is the whole thing with me. I record things on my phone so I don't forget them. So I rolled over and I grabbed my phone. And so the video that I have, which I can send to you if you want to see like the actual backstory of Teacher's Christmas Wish, it's a black video, dark in my room, and my sleepy morning cracked voice singing what was the rough version of that song. We hope you get hugs and love and gentle hands and voices. And the song would change throughout the morning. So I just kept singing it in my head. And I sang it on the way to school. And then when I got to school that morning, I got on the piano, and I could just feel really, I mean, I've got my eyes closed right now with my hands in the air playing an air piano, because there was not really a process of writing it. I could just feel it. Like the energy of that song really just made my hands go wherever they were going to go. And so that morning I finished it, and I let my then fourth grade class hear it. And that class wasn't the one that worried me the most. So I was able to sing it without crying with them. And I was just like, what do you guys think? And they did the echo chorus part so beautifully. So I was like, I think I'm going to share that. Like, that's raw emotion. Like, that's raw teacher emotion. Like, I thought maybe this can help somebody else, or maybe somebody else has got better words for what I'm trying to say here. And it went viral. And so I took some slack for that song, because I said Christmas in the original one, and the song is called Teacher's Christmas Wish. But I said, when we send you off for Christmas break, I mean, I taught in a very small, pretty homogenous, culturally homogenous school. So everybody celebrated Christmas. We didn't have anybody that did it. So, but then when I recorded in the studio, not due to pressure, but due to like my life as a writer, and I revise when things need to be revised, holiday just came out on the tongue easier. And so that's one thing with sharing TikTok that I have found. When you share a rough draft and it's immortalized on your feed, on your page, and that's what people know, you kind of lose some of the grace for it to revise it and make it better. Anyway, so that one was just shared and shared and shared, and it went all over the place. It was shared on Upworthy. Jamie Lee Curtis shared it on her Instagram. One of the Kardashians liked it from there. It was on today.com. They shared it there, and there was like a little write-up about me, and like it was just like, I mean, I could not believe it. And so then some people had said in the comments like, where's the rest of it, and I was like, you know what, I could write the rest of that song. So I sat down, and it was a pretty easy process. Maybe it took me 2 days to come up with the words for actual verses and bridge. And so then that was December of 21. So then last year, I took it to the engineer that I'm working with in Minot, North Dakota now, and I took some students into the studio with me. And I was like, I think this is the best song I've ever written, probably. I want students' voices on this thing with me. Like, I just don't even want to record it if I don't have some of these little kids in here with me. And so that was a cool process, going into a studio with 6 or 7 little ones.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I know because, I've seen like other people that have had their classes sing it, and all kinds of different languages. And so really, how do you feel? Like, I saw someone was signing the song.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like when you're singing all of that?
Humble. Like, I kind of sometimes refuse to believe that my music has gone as far as it has, because I'm like, I am not famous. I am not. I'm still just little old me. Like, still kind of, nervous when I walk into a room sometimes. Hopefully, hope people are going to like my music or whatever. So it hasn't had any type of inflating effect in my head. It's really just been like, what? Like, that they're singing my song? Like, I still have that effect every time I see someone taking some of my, a lot of my music has gone viral. And every time I see my music in another country, in a different language, or in schools, or every time I get feedback from people, I'm just like, it's almost like, sometimes I think the emotion, like the emotion of pride that I feel, is matched by disbelief. Like, that couldn't have been me. Like, it's hard to accept, because I worked for so hard trying to write music, and for such a long time in my life, like, I just wanted to be a songwriter. I just wanted to cut a song. I wanted, like, an artist to do my song. And now that dream is done. And now, like, I am writing songs, and me as the artist, as the singer songwriter, that is what is inspiring people. And then they're going, and they're replicating, like I said earlier, like, imitation is flattery. Like, all these people who want to do my songs, I am so flattered and proud of that. Like, it's just, I'm in awe every time it happens. Like, I'm just like, wow, me?
So it does seem like a lot of the songs that you write come from personal experiences or inspirations. Um, and I want to ask you about two songs in particular that you've written. One is The Other,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is Loving You for Two, which
Mm-hmm.
is a recent one that I listened to. So, are those inspired by your children? And if so, how do they feel about making songs?
So The Other is a song I wrote for, both of those songs are for my children. There's one for my daughter, and then one for my middle son. And I've written another one for my older son. I've just never really recorded it and put it anywhere. Um, but I wrote that song for my daughter. Her dad is just, really tall, and this bigger dude. And so my daughter has always been real tall, and sometimes that would make her feel insecure because she's not small and petite like the other girls. Um and I don't know, I just struggled so long with, being happy with myself, that there was just one day, she was probably 6 or 7 years old, and I was just consumed with all of my hopes for her. Like, I hope you don't let other people's opinions, like, bother you the way I did my whole life. Like, I hope you don't try to be a cookie cutter woman the way I did my whole life. Like, I hope you are okay being the other. I hope you are okay, like, living your own truth, living in your body, in your skin, being just the person that you are. And so that one was easy to write. At that time, I was working with a songwriting agent. I go into Nashville quite frequently. And she, had sent some of my other songs down to, like, Song Plugger and some other people, and they really weren't going anywhere. And so she's like, gosh, you just need to write the one. You just got to write the one. And so I had that kind of pressure in my head. But then I was, I write the best when it's deeply purposeful. Like, so about these little kids at work, or about my own, like, children. And so I wrote this song for Carmen very quickly. Like, I don't even think I edited. I have revised it now. I've revised the last verse now. And that song, actually, I'm recording it next. So I've already paid the guy to get a head start on the track. And then probably at the end of July, I'll go in and have that on Apple Music and Spotify and everything for you to hear. But until I wrote Teacher's Christmas Wish, I think The Other was my favorite song. Like, just, it's the opening line is, I think, I was so proud of it. The opening line is, it's a man's world. You're learning to be a beautiful thing. And do your makeup, get your hair done, do your makeup. You're a trophy in training. Like these are the things that are expected of you. But then the chorus is like, they'll say that you could be anything that you want, but the real crux there is it's all these contingents. It's if you look a certain way, if you, whatever. And so then the last line of that chorus is like, if only just this once, listen to your mother be the other. And that song really, like, I've got chills right now just thinking about it. That song really resonated with people. So I'm really excited to get that in the studio and get it done and released, because that is, I think, every mother's, and probably fathers too, like, wish for your daughters. Like, it's a hard world out there as far as your concept of self. And so here, my daughter, she's in 4th grade. She has turned out to be every bit as tall as I thought she was going to be. She's head and shoulders above pretty much all the other kids in her class. And I just have tried her whole life to leave all of my insecurities and my negative self-talk that I grew up with and that I saw from all of the women in my life. Tried to really let that song guide me. Like, if I want her to be the other, I've got to be the other. I've got to say positive things about myself. I've got to let her only see me being happy with my body, happy with my face, things like that. And so, we never know if we're doing the right things, but I really credit that song to helping me process exactly how I felt and what I needed to do to be the best mother for her that I could possibly be, and give her the best self-concept that she could have in this very judgy world. So yeah, the other, that one, still one of my favorites.
Matt, I think this would be a good time to ask you, like, I know
sure,
that we've had conversations about, like, about writing about personal experiences, and like where you find that line of, what you don't want to cross, or if you do cross it, how you deal with it. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I always struggle with that, like, where do I want to stop and not say anything else. So, I mean, have you ever written anything that you were just like, oh no, I can't put that out?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of songs that I'll never share. Absolutely.
Tell us one of them.
Oh, well, I mean, I could. I have a song. It's called "Cry." It is a sad song I wrote in my first year of marriage, and like, I still love that song, and really, I would probably share it if I were more proud of the recording. But like, for a very long time, I didn't want to share that song. And then there were several other ones similar to that over the years, where I, didn't want to share. And then there was once when I did, and people were like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay with you and Chris?" I'm like, "I'm not doing that again." Maybe that was a little too raw.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are all kinds of songs that I wouldn't want to share. But you're right. Like, with that song, like with the other, like, even knowing that it's going to hurt some feelings, it was worth it for me. So, because I'm definitely not going to try to protect feelings. If someone is a subject in my song, and usually it's going to be pretty intimate kind of setting, but they're a subject for a reason. And that's one of those things where, one thing I have told myself about, like, that's not as demeaning as it may sound, because I would hope that all parents want their children to be even better than they are. Yes. I want my daughter to be more talented than I am, and to be, more successful, have more money, more everything than I am. I think that's every parent's hope, even though it definitely is a negative connotation in the song. Like, but I do think by learning right now how to believe in yourself enough, you learn. And I hope the same. I hope my kids will be better than me too.
Yeah. So let's switch gears here a little bit.
Sure.
Awesome stories though, and awesome
Thanks.
Backstories and stuff. So I'm curious, like, who are some of your influences? I mean, you seem to like write a lot on your, from ideas and personal experiences and stuff. But like, who are some of your influences as far as songwriting and?
Okay. Some of my influences in songwriting. Well, I would say I don't know who they are.
Okay.
I don't know who all the songwriters are on some of the songs I listen to that I'm inspired by.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a couple of songwriters over the years where I've like kind of gotten into some of their songs. But I don't really remember their names. The biggest influence would be, my mom, who she wasn't a songwriter, but she was a singer and a pianist, and could sing harmony, and I wanted to be able to imitate those elements. And then my high school choir teacher was a major influence, and he actually made me believe that I could write my own music. And so I would say, from that technical side, or just the initial want to, would be my mom, and then the how to would be from my high school choir teacher. And then there were influences along the way. There's a guy in Nashville named Doug Sizemore, who I wrote with over the years, and I was very, very inspired by him, and I learned so much from him, just about how songs come together and how songwriting goes. Like you just sit around and talk for a little bit until an idea like organically kind of springs up, and then you go with it and you shape it and try to figure out, without being like didactic, where is this going? How can we kind of shape this idea? And so songwriting with him really, I think, put me next level, like truly understanding kind of what was going on, or what should be going on, like in my process and stuff. And then so like I told you a little while ago, like I was working with an agent at that time. Well, her name is Bonnie, and she was so inspiring to me. She still lives in Kentucky. We don't work together, on songs anymore. She's got some beautiful grandbabies, and that's her focus. And I moved to North Dakota, taking care of my kids, and that's my focus. And she, even though we're not really working together on any of the music that I'm doing right now, she has been so proud of me. And like I said a minute ago, inspiring me to write The Other. And then my song, My Boys, that is also on my Apple and Spotify. Like, she was also just like, encouraging me to write and, go for that one song. Like, you've got it in you. I know you can do it. And so, and she would always listen to my music and give me such wonderful critical feedback, and believed in everything enough to like send it off to everybody she knows. So, she would be she would hands down be in one of those top musical influences as well.
So, when did you start playing guitar? I mean, I know you said something about keyboard, but then you mentioned playing guitar. How long have you been doing that?
Well, I have wanted to play a guitar for a long time, and never really got around to it. But when I got this music job, so 2021, I got there and there was a guitar in the classroom, and I thought, there is just no time like the present. I have a guitar at home. I know how to play like a couple of chords, and I thought, if I could just practice a little bit on the chords I know, I can play in the key of D, and I can sing in D. So that's all. So any video you see of me playing a guitar, I'm in the key of D, because that's all I can do. And I can't even play the 6 minor in D. I can't play a B minor. I don't even know how. So like, if you'll watch real close, if it's going, to that minor mood for a second, like I just pull my hands up off the strings and just sing, and then like just hammer back on it when it goes back to one of the main chords. So that's kind of fun. But so I've gotten quite good in the key of D, except for that B minor. But then, you know what? Like, what you're working with is sometimes inspiring on its own.
Yeah.
So like, for some reason, as I was playing around in the key of D, a very easy chord transition to me was E minor. So I hit that one day, and I was like, "Ooh, that's nice, that 2 minor. You can do a lot with a 2 minor in a song." And so a lot of my songs now are a 2 minor. Like, for instance, "Loving You for Two" that I wrote for my son. When I was up there in my office playing the keyboard or playing the guitar, I used a capo, and I didn't even know what key that I was putting it in, but still the numbers are the same. So like, the chorus of "Loving You for Two" goes to a 2 minor, once again, because that's all I know how to do. But it's been pretty neat. So I would say I'm not excellent at guitar, but one thing I've been really proud of with playing the guitar so much is showing my students, like, you don't have to be great.
Yeah. I've been playing for 40 years, and I suck. So.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard some, in your chuckle. I thought that was a very knowing chuckle.
I have a love-hate affair with the guitar.
Nice.
pick
All
it
right.
up
You're
and
a pro.
I'd pick it up and play for a while, and then I put it down and don't play it for 6 months, and then I forget what I know and have to start over again. And, that
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So,
Well, that's really neat.
yeah. I mean, I could have been the next Eddie Van Halen, but just I
Well, it's
tried.
never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late. Take that from me. 40 years old, my music career went off a completely different direction.
Yeah.
So it's never too late.
61. Well, I mean,
It's not too late.
Then again, look at like Mick Jagger. He's still out there, and Keith Richards. He's from the Rolling Stones. People say he's been dead for like 7 years. So, but he's still out there. So, all right, Kat, what else you got?
All right, so I have just a couple more things because we could go on and on, but let's talk about this North Dakota United cover. You are on the cover of the Rolling Stones, but it's that was a cute, I thought, song to put with it. But
Thank you.
That's a big deal. So let's, how did that come to be?
Okay. All right. So, my songs have just continued to go viral and see great success. And after the last song that went viral, my Good Morning song, I don't know if you've heard that.
Yes.
So for anybody listening, it's pinned on my TikTok right now.
I'm in control. I like myself, and so does everyone else.
Look at you, Kat. You're just making me feel so good about myself. Yeah, that's it. So I think after that, like there was just a lot of positive attention, like, a little early in this year. And so after everything had just continued to go viral, it just got the attention of a writer at North Dakota United. And I think it was that Good Morning song, because I don't even think he knew about the Teacher's Christmas Wish song when they decided to do a feature on me. And they were just interested in my story. Like, where the heck did you come from? Like, you're not a music major. You're not from North Dakota. You're not like an elementary teacher truly by trade. Like, this is all like brand new. Like, where did you come from? So I think they, really just wanted to know who I was. But then, the more that we got through that interview process, he was like, dang, I'm really excited to like share about you this Teacher's Christmas Wish song, like your Days of the Week songs and all of that. So he came at the end of the year. And I think the news helped too. Like, I was on the news several times in North Dakota. Because I got Hertz Rent-A-Car selected me for their Teacher of the Year last year.
Wow.
And
awesome.
It was amazing. On Teacher Appreciation Week last year, they surprised me with like this big SUV wrapped in my students' artwork. It was like music artwork. We love Miss Allen. Like, we love music.
Wow.
It was super cool. So that was on the news, and then there were like the Teacher's Christmas Wish thing was on the news a couple of different times, but really it wasn't just about Teacher's Christmas Wish. It was just more about me in the news. And so I think they just were like, we're really curious about who you are and where you've come from. And so they came and did the feature, and I was just completely flattered. My principals were flattered. My students were ecstatic. And so he came and he interviewed, and he said, like, we'd like to actually put you on the cover. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I'm going to be on the cover? Like, so of course, and then, you know what, speaking of cover of the Rolling Stones, like my principal at the school, so I teach at 2 schools. And so I was at my second school the afternoon whenever the guy came to interview. So I was at that school. So my principal came in, he was like, wow, that's really awesome. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be on the cover. And then he started singing cover of the and I was like, oh my God, you're right. And so he and I kind of like sang that together there in my classroom for a minute. And I was like, I better get 5 copies for a mother.
Shout out to him, because that was pretty clever, right?
Mr. John Alstead. Yeah, he's a great guy. So, and, just going back to like real quick, just to love on my principals, man, everybody who's been in charge at these, schools where I teach, like, kudos to them for letting me fly, trusting me and letting me fly, because I'm like, all of these good things that are happening for me and for my students and my, all the accolades are just, positive for every stakeholder, but it could have been shut down pretty quick. So I'm thankful for that. But Yeah, and then the North Dakota United thing is just like super duper cool. So I'm very flattered, and just to think that goes out to all the people who are in the North Dakota United Union in North Dakota, not just teachers, but it's paras, it's some city workers, I think, and I'm just flattered, honored.
As you should be. And I have to say, there's one song we did not talk about, and I don't know if it's gone viral, but it's also a favorite, is the Valentine's song.
Oh.
I thought that was the cutest thing with,
Thank
you know,
you.
the different utensils.
Yeah.
So I love that song. So I also have that one in my head.
That one I'll tell you just real quick because I had written a song about rare fruit. I had a student who was like, write a song about rare fruit, and he's this quirky kid, and he like gave me all these random fruits to put in a song, and it went super viral. The rare fruit song did, and when it went viral, a Disney star, I forget his name, but he is he was the chef on Hey Jesse. He was Bertram on the show Hey Jesse. He commented on that. And he was like, I challenge you to write a song about kitchen utensils. I love kitchen utensils. And it was around Valentine's Day. And I was like, okay. So I like talked to my students. I was like, you'll never guess who commented on my TikTok. Bertram from Hey Jesse. And those students just went nuts. And so I was like, what kind of utensils can you think of? So it's a really cool, relevant. I mean, like when we're talking, like, especially teaching high school, like rigor and relevance are everything. And so like here, this is like rigorous. These are second, third graders, like, songwriting with, they're giving me ideas. Like, so I was like, what kind of utensils do you know? We did this whole drafting session of utensils, and then I wrote the song just full of Valentine's puns, and it's one of the students' favorites. And that Disney star never saw it. He just never saw it. Like, I tagged him. It did not, the Valentine's one did not go as viral as rare fruit. Like it's like 400,000 views or something like that, but we're not talking millions. So he didn't see it. So one day he'll see it. Maybe it'll go viral. You never know.
Well, I think it is absolutely adorable. I love
Thanks.
That. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Thanks.
And
I love it.
Well,
it was fun.
I sent it to Matt when you first put it out.
Yeah.
This is adorable. This is like so cute.
I'm so flattered.
Well, to go full circle, I think back to how we started. I'll ask you this. In 10 years, say if we interviewed you again, call me naive, I never seen it coming. What would be it 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I mean, like true fame. That would be something that I still at this moment don't see coming. Like, I see this wave that I'm riding right now and like loving it and enjoying it, and I'm seeing it as the apex, really. So if it were to get bigger than that, that would be actually having a song on the radio, actually writing and like singers singing my songs. That would be an element of fame like that I just couldn't imagine, that I would love to see come to fruition, and I'm believing for it.
Yes, I believe for it too. Matt,
thank you.
Join in with us here.
No, I agree. I mean, I think you're definitely going to get there, for sure.
Thank you. We'll just put all these thoughts out into the universe, and hopefully you guys can say I told you so when we do this again in 10 years.
Well, I hope it isn't 10 years. I hope you come back again soon, and we can talk about other things that you've been up to.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Well, thank you for being our guest, Risha. And
yeah,
it's been a pleasure getting to hear some of the backstories, and we've only touched the surface.
Yeah, we have, and I'm just flattered that you wanted to talk with me and hear the backstory to some of these songs. I'm so thrilled that you had me on your show. Thank you so much.
Kat has been talking about you forever. I think since I met her, and now I've gotten to talk to you, and I feel like I made a friend. So
you have. I mean, like, we will connect after this. I will get to know you more too, and I'm flattered, absolutely flattered. Like, it's still the same feeling every time. Like, me? Jackson talking about me? Oh.
Yeah.
But you have to know now, Risha, you should tell him, like, you should loan your cell phone if someone wants to film Arrow
You
Supply.
should. And I listened to that episode, and I was Team Cat. I gotta say, man, I'm like, you at that point, like you got to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It made for a cute song, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You did a great job.
How funny.
Yeah.
How funny. Well, thank you so much, and I was glad to do that for you. That was a lot of fun. It came at that very busy juncture in my year, so I was like, I hope this is okay. And then you guys seemed to like it, so I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was super fun.
All right.
All right, Risha.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
All
coming
right.
by. We really appreciate it, and we hope to talk to you again very soon.
All right, thanks so much. And looking forward to hearing it on the radio.
As always, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can send those to Kat at iWritePlays@outlook.com, or you can write to me at backstorysessions@gmail.com or matt@level11ventures.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.